For thousands of years, cats have been among the most mysterious animals living alongside humans. In ancient Egypt, cats were worshipped as sacred creatures. Many believe that cats could see things humans could not, even today. Despite modern science, cats still amaze us with their incredible senses. There are stories that make people wonder, can cats sense danger before it happens? In many recorded cases, cats have behaved in ways that seem like warnings. They suddenly became anxious, meowed loudly, or tried to pull their owners away from certain places, and only minutes later, an accident or disaster occurred. In this video, we explore 5 real stories of cats that appeared to predict danger before it happened. The first story happened in a small house in the United States. A family owned an orange cat named Milo. One night, while the entire family was sleeping, Milo suddenly began running around the house. He jumped onto his owner's bed, meowed loudly, and scratched at the bedroom door. At first, the owner thought the cat was just being playful, but Milo would not stop. He kept meowing, scratching, and running toward the kitchen. When the owner followed Milo to the kitchen, they discovered something alarming. A pan had been left on the stove and it started to burn. Smoke was spreading throughout the house. If Milo had not woken them up, the entire family might have been in danger. Later, firefighters confirmed that the fire could have spread rapidly if it had not been discovered early. Milo had saved the entire family. But the question remained, how did the cat detect danger before the humans noticed? Scientists believe cats have an extremely sensitive sense of smell. They can detect smoke far earlier than humans. Cats can also hear very subtle sounds. For example, the crackling of oil heating or the faint sound of materials beginning to burn. These signals might alert cats before humans even realize something is wrong. But Milo's story is not unique. Around the world, there are many similar stories. Cats saving their owners from fires, accidents, and sudden dangers. And sometimes, their behavior is even harder to explain. The second story takes place in Japan, a country well known for earthquakes. A family living in a small apartment in Tokyo owned a gray cat named Hoshi. Hoshi was a very ordinary cat. He loved sleeping near the window and spent most of his time resting on the sofa. But one summer afternoon, Hoshi's behavior suddenly changed. He started walking around the room repeatedly. His ears stood upright, his tail moved quickly, and he began meowing loudly. His owner felt that something was unusual. Hoshi was normally a very quiet cat, but that day he kept running from one room to another. After a few minutes, he jumped toward the door and scratched it intensely as if he wanted to go outside. The owner opened the balcony door. Immediately, Hoshi ran outside. Only a few minutes later, a strong earthquake struck. Objects inside the apartment began shaking. Lights swung from the ceiling. But because they were already outside on the balcony, the family avoided serious injury. After the event, the owner began researching animal behavior before earthquakes. They discovered that many similar stories had been reported. During major earthquakes around the world, people often report unusual animal behavior beforehand. Dogs bark excessively, birds fly chaotically, and cats become extremely restless. Scientists believe animals may sense tiny ground vibrations before humans can detect them. Before an earthquake occurs, underground rock layers begin shifting. This process creates very small vibrations. Humans cannot detect them, but some animals can. Cats are particularly sensitive to vibrations. Their paws contain many nerve endings. They can detect subtle vibrations through the ground. Cats can also hear extremely high-frequency sounds that humans cannot hear. Some researchers suggest that before earthquakes occur, small underground sounds may be produced. These sounds could disturb animals. However, science still cannot fully prove that cats can predict earthquakes. But one thing is clear, cats possess senses far more sensitive than those of humans. This allows them to detect small environmental changes. Another story happened in the United Kingdom. An elderly woman lived alone with her cat. One evening, she was watching television when the cat suddenly jumped onto her lap. It kept meowing repeatedly and refused to leave. At first, she thought the cat simply wanted attention, but after a few minutes, she began feeling dizzy. She realized something was wrong with her health. Because the cat stayed with her, She managed to call for an ambulance in time. At the hospital, doctors confirmed she had suffered a mild stroke. If she had not received help quickly, the situation could have been dangerous. Many doctors believe animals may detect chemical changes in the human body. The human body releases subtle signals when health conditions change. For example, body odor, heartbeat patterns, or breathing rhythm. These signals are extremely difficult for humans to detect, but animals may sense them. This could explain why some cats appear to know when their owners are in danger. One of the most remarkable stories about cats sensing danger comes from Italy. A family lived in a small village near the mountains. They owned an orange cat named Leo. Leo was a very friendly cat. He often followed family members around the house. One morning, while the family was preparing breakfast in the kitchen, Leo suddenly started acting strangely. He ran around the table, meowed repeatedly, jumped onto chairs, and then down again. At first, the family thought Leo was simply playing, but then he began scratching at the leg of the young boy in the family, almost as if he wanted the boy to follow him. The boy stood up and followed the cat outside the house. Only a few minutes later, part of the kitchen ceiling suddenly collapsed. Fortunately, no one was inside the room at that moment. If the family had remained in the kitchen, they might have been seriously injured. After the event, many believe Leo had sensed something before the collapse. But how could that be explained? Some engineers say that before structures like ceilings or walls collapse, there are often tiny warning signs. For example, small cracking sounds or slight vibrations in the structure. Humans usually ignore these signals, but animals, especially cats, might detect them. Cats have extremely sensitive hearing. Their ears can rotate nearly 180 degrees. This allows them to pinpoint the direction of sound very accurately. Cats also have a special sensory organ called the Jacobson's organ. This organ helps cats analyze chemical particles in the air. Because of this, cats can detect subtle environmental changes. Another story comes from Turkey. A man living in a high-rise apartment owned a cat named Luna. One night, Luna suddenly began meowing loudly. She ran around the apartment, jumped near the window, and stared outside. Then she looked back at her owner and continued meowing. The owner sensed something unusual. He decided to step outside into the hallway. That was when he smelled gas. A nearby apartment had a gas leak. If the leak had not been discovered in time, it could have caused a massive explosion. Thanks to the early discovery, residents were evacuated safely. Once again, a cat had helped prevent disaster. This has led scientists to believe that cats can detect extremely faint chemical odors. Cats have around 200 million smell receptors in their noses. Humans only have about 5 million. This allows cats to detect scents that humans cannot perceive, such as gas leaks, smoke, or other chemicals in the environment. These abilities make cats one of the most sensitive animals in the world. But the question still remains, are these stories simply coincidences? Or do cats truly possess abilities that science still does not fully understand? After hearing all these stories, many people begin asking an interesting question. Do cats truly have the ability to predict danger? Or are their unusual behaviors simply the result of extremely sensitive senses? When scientists study cats more closely, they discover that cats possess remarkable environmental awareness. First, there is hearing. Cats can hear sounds at much higher frequencies than humans. Their ears contain more than 30 small muscles that allow them to rotate and focus on sounds. This helps cats locate even the smallest noises. In the wild, this ability allows cats to hunt small prey such as mice. But in human environments, it may help them detect early warning sounds. For example, electrical sparks, cracking building materials, or gas leaks. Next comes smell. As mentioned earlier, cats have around 200 million scent receptors in their noses. Humans have only about 5 million. This allows cats to detect extremely faint odors. Cats may smell smoke before humans notice it. They can detect gas leaks. They may even detect small chemical changes in the human body. Another incredible ability cats possess is vibration detection. A cat's paws are extremely sensitive. The nerves in their paws allow them to detect subtle vibrations and surfaces. This helps them detect prey movement, but it may also allow them to sense ground vibrations before earthquakes or structural collapse. Cats also possess highly sensitive whiskers. A cat's whiskers are not simply decorative. They are specialized sensory tools. Whiskers detect tiny changes in air movement. This allows cats to sense motion around them, even in complete darkness. When all these abilities combine, cats become something like a living sensor system. They constantly gather information from their surroundings, information about sound, smell, vibrations, and movement. When something unusual occurs, cats react immediately. To humans, their behavior may appear mysterious, but it is often simply the natural response of an animal with extremely sensitive senses. Interestingly, humans are increasingly studying animals for their ability to detect danger. Dogs have been trained to detect certain diseases such as cancer. Some birds react early to weather changes. Cats may also play similar roles in certain situations, although science continues to study these phenomena. Stories of cats helping humans avoid danger continue to appear. These stories remind us that the natural world still holds many mysteries. Sometimes the small animals living quietly beside us possess abilities we do not fully understand. Perhaps cats do not truly predict the future, but with their remarkable senses, they can detect warning signs that humans often miss. And sometimes, one small action from a cat can save a human life.